Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this horror movie review as part of my 31 Horror Movies in May series. Today, we're going to go back to the 80s and take a look at a slasher movie from the 80s, which was a first time watch for me. Had not seen it before, but have kind of heard quite a bit about it over the years here. It's kind of a cult classic, and that is April Fool's Day from 1986 here as part of this double feature 2 DVD set that I have here. Now, of course, My Bloody Valentine, I have the Scream Factory Blu ray collector's edition version of this movie. So the only reason that I have this is because this is my only version of April Fool's Day currently. I am hoping to get the April Fool's Day on Blu ray. I believe it might be Scream Factory Collector's Edition as well for April Fool's Day. I hope so. But we'll see. But either way, I know there's a Blu ray out there. But anyway, for now, this is how I watch this movie. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into April Fool's Day from 1986 with the setup, the premise, and the cast. And then I'll get into my thoughts and review, I'm going to do my best to keep it spoiler free. It's more difficult for this movie, but I'm gonna do my best. So, April Fool's Day is a 1986 American black comedy mystery slasher film, directed by Fred Walton and produced by Frank Mancuso Jr. The plot follows a group of college students vacationing during April Fool's Day weekend on an island estate which is infiltrated by an unknown assailant. So basically, the movie opens on the weekend leading up to April Fool's Day. A group of college friends consisting of Harvey, Nikki, Rob, Skip, Nan, Chaz, Kit, and Arch gather to celebrate break by spending the weekend at the island mansion of Skip's cousin, Vassar student Muffy St. John. As Muffy prepares details around the house, she finds an old Jack in the Box and recalls receiving the toy at a childhood birthday party. Her friends, meanwhile, joke around on the pier while awaiting the ferry. En route to the island, as their antics become more boisterous, local deckhand Buck is seriously injured in a gruesome accident. Once on the island, it turns out that Muffy has set up a variety of pranks throughout the mansion, ranging from simple gags such as whoopee cushions and dribble glasses and exploding cigars to more complex and disturbing pranks such as an audio tape of a baby crying in someone's room and heroin paraphernalia in a guest's wardrobe. In spite of this, the group tries to relax until Skip goes missing, and Kit catches a glimpse of what looks like the dead body. Soon, Arch and Nan also go missing during a search. During a search for the pair, Nikki falls into the island's well, where she finds the severed heads of Skip, Arch, and the dead body of Nan. The remaining group members then discover that the phone lines are dead and there is no way to get off the island until Monday. So yeah, it sounds like a pretty typical '80s kind of slasher setup and premise, but believe me, there's nothing typical about this slasher movie, April Fool's Day from 1986. Cast-wise, we have Jay Baker as Harvey Edison Jr. We have Deborah Foreman as Muffy St. John, Deborah Goodrich as Nikki Brashares, Ken Olant as Rob Ferris, Griffin O'Neill as Skip St. John, Leah Pinsent as Nan Youngblood, Clayton Roner as Chaz, Amy Steele as Kit Graham, Thomas F. Wilson, Biff as Arch Cummings, and Tom Heaton as Constable Potter. So yeah, that's the setup and the premise and the cast for 1986's April Fool's Day. So as I said, this was a first time watch for me, and the only thing I knew about this movie is there was a big twist that really divided people and critics, for that matter, on this overall movie. That's really all I knew about it, and obviously it had something to do with the holiday of April Fool's itself. But I didn't really know much else about the movie, so I was kind of excited to watch it for a first time watch, and I really enjoyed this movie for the most part. You know, it definitely is. It's different. And initially, when the movie ended and I finished it, I wasn't sure I did like it. But let's just get into all of it here. We'll do my pros and cons as part of my review. Starting with my pros, and you got to start with the fact that this is a very unique and creative slasher movie during a time where there really weren't a lot of unique and creative slasher movies. There really isn't anything quite like it, I don't think. Definitely not during that decade, and I'm not sure there's anything quite like it since. So I give the producers and the filmmakers a lot of credit for for capitalizing on a slasher, a subgenre, a slasher of horror, um, but subverting expectations with it and having their own sort of twist on it. I thought that was a really, really smart movie. I really like the characters in this movie, and that's hard to say for a slasher movie. You don't often say that, but they were all pretty likable, especially in comparison to the type of characters we normally get in slasher movies from any decade, for that matter. There's a little bit of backstory on some of them, not a lot, and not for all of them, but there was just enough there, and they had enough chemistry with each other, and they were likable enough to come to kind of care about them and be invested in these characters. So that was definitely a huge pro in this movie. Taking off on the characters, the acting in this movie was really pretty good for the most part. I especially enjoyed seeing Amy Steele from the Friday the 13th movie. She was Friday the 13th Part 2 as Ginny, my favorite final girl from that entire series. I also thought Deborah Foreman, who I haven't seen anything else, I thought she did a really good job as Muffy St. John. And then Thomas F. Wilson, of course, Biff, from the Back to the Future movies. I really enjoyed seeing him in this. I mean, I thought they all did. I thought the acting was good overall in this movie. I didn't think that anybody was awful, but those three really stood out to me. It's a really interesting and seemingly straightforward story that this movie has and introduces us to, but ultimately it ends up being really smart as it does a really good job of subverting expectations for this type of movie, for slasher movies, for the subgenre of horror known as slashers. Yeah, this movie it capitalizes on a really popular genre at the time, or subgenre, I should say, of a genre, um, and sort of it capitalizes on the popularity of it at the time by putting its own spin on it and subverting expectations on it. It's just a very clever idea that they had. Um, this movie, it's hard to explain, but it just has a really fun tone and charm to it that makes it a really enjoyable watch. And it does a really good job of mixing sort of lighter and more humorous moments earlier in the movie, the first half of the movie, with more serious and slasher, suspenseful horror movies and scenes later in the movie. It's hard to explain, but it's just a very charming movie, kind of like this one. If you watched my review of a week or two ago, you know that I thought My Bloody Valentine had a certain charm to it, and this movie's no different. It's probably not a coincidence that they put these two movies together on this double feature because they're both kind of charming, fun watch kind of movies. So slasher movies at that. Um, so yeah, just a really fun watch kind of movie. I enjoyed the score as well and the musical cues used in the movie, both the fun and whimsical, which was more fitting of the holiday itself. Like there's a song during the ending credits, which was it must have been intentional. I'm not sure, but it's very whimsical and kind of really kind of silly, but really fun too. All the way up to the suspenseful musical cues that they use that really helps build tension in the third act of this movie. So I thought they did a really good job with score and sound effects. Um, it turns out to be kind of a more suspenseful mystery, especially as we get about halfway through the movie, that I really enjoyed, especially with Amy Steele leading the way. She's just a great final girl anyway, and just a great. She was a great character in this movie, so I was really invested in this whole mystery that was going on from the middle towards the end of the movie. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed that whodunit aspect to the movie because of that. Um, It really adds to the fun watch of the movie. And then finally, I enjoyed the setting of this movie, sort of the isolating setting of this island, which is off the mainland, and there's really no easy way or ability to get off the island without coordinating with ferries or law enforcement from the mainland, something like that. So that just sort of adds to the suspension, the tension of the movie as well. So yeah, those are my pros for April Fool's Day. Definitely enjoyed the cast. Definitely give them a lot of credit for subverting expectations and putting their own spin on a very popular subgenre of horror. The acting, the charm, and the fun to be had with this movie. All the pros that I had. Getting into more of the cons. So, if you're somebody that's looking for a typical slasher movie from the '80s with a lot of blood and gore and on-screen kills, then this probably ain't going to be your favorite movie because this movie has mostly cutaway kills. Now, there's a reason for that, and I'm not going to tell you what that is because it would give away the movie. But you don't see anything on screen in terms of any kills or anything. It's more like we see somebody approach these characters, and then they're either like dragged away or something to that effect. But it's all cutaway. You do get a few like gore effect shots of like results of kills and things like that, but no actual blood or gore from kills that's seen on screen. So I know that'll be a huge con for a lot of people that especially tune into slashers to see blood and gore. That's just when it comes to kills, especially, it's just not that kind of movie, really. Even though it is a slasher movie technically. Um, Now this particular point, I'm not sure this is going to hold up. I have to watch the movie again. But I'm not sure everything throughout the movie works all that well, given the twist that we end up getting and how the movie ends. um, the direction the movie ends up going. I'll be really curious to go back and watch the movie, knowing what I know now, knowing the ending of this movie, to see if everything holds up. But to me, on first watch and kind of initially, it struck me as, well, I'm just not sure that works entirely, basically, and I can't really say too much more of it than that. But that might change, as I said, maybe when I watch the film. I do give them a lot of credit because they do a really good job of sort of giving you clues and things like that, sort of putting stuff out there without ruining the movie, if that makes sense. It's part of why it's a fun watch because they really set things up well in the movie. But like I said, I have to watch it again, knowing the ending now, and see what I think. I have to be honest. Initially, the twist wasn't my favorite. It's kind of like one of those WTF moments. It's the ending just kind of seemed kind of lame and cheap to me. But the further I got away from the movie and kind of thinking about the whole movie, and it's really kind of a genius twist, especially during a time where you have so many of these movies during the decade of the '80s, and like I said, the more time has gone on since my initial watch of this movie, I actually like the twists more and more, the more the minutes and hours go by from when I finished this movie earlier today. So, but initially, I have to be honest, I kind of hated the twist. Um, and maybe if I ever do a spoiler review on this movie, I'll give that on why. But you can probably guess if you've seen the movie. And then finally, the rewatchability factor for this movie, it kind of has the same problem a movie like The Sixth Sense has. That once you know the twist, it kind of loses some of the it loses something. I'm not going to say it's not going to lose the charm and the fun because the characters really make that in this movie, the kind of movie that it is, and the music as well. But the rewatchability factor, it's not going to be a movie that you're probably going to pop in every month or so. Now I could see watching it every April Fool's Day. Right there was something like Groundhog Day. Not on April Fool's Day. I watch Groundhog Day on Groundhog Day, but to actually watch it on the holiday each year, I think it might still be effective for that. But I do have to mention the rewatchability because of the kind of twist they have. Um, the movie will never be quite as effective as the first time that you watch. It's never going to have that WTF moment. But I have to be honest with you, despite my initial reaction and thinking I was going to tear this movie a new one, as I sat down to write my review, I really can't because I just had too much fun with this movie. And I guess what I'd say is I do recommend seeing this movie if you haven't seen it before. I definitely recommend seeing it. But just go into it wanting to have a good time, which I guess most people do with slasher movies. But just try not to take it too seriously and just have fun with it. I think if you do that, you're really going to enjoy the movie. Even if you don't do that, like me, I wasn't necessarily sure how to go into it with what kind of attitude or what kind of mindset. But like I said, stepping away from the movie as time's gone on from my initial one-time watch, I really do enjoy the movie. There's just no getting away from it. It was just so smart, so clever, so fun, so enjoyable because of the music, the characters, and the suspense that they do build at certain moments. I mean, it's not an overly scary slasher movie compared to some other ones. So if you're looking for something that's going to scare you or that has a lot of gore in it, then you're probably not going to enjoy it as much. But for me, I'm somebody that I enjoy I enjoy fun, thrilling horror movies that have something to say. And this movie definitely has something to say. It's not a movie that you're going to, like many slashers from that time period, it's not a forgettable movie. It's not a movie that's going to blend in with the others. It does stand apart. And that alone is the best compliment you can give it, especially for coming out in the decade of the 80s. So, for what it is and what it does and how much fun I had watching it, I have to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was going to be much lower than that when they rolled the end credits, and I was like, huh, okay. But like I said, it's just too much damn fun. So I really enjoyed April Fool's Day from 1986. I know they did a remake, a straight to video remake from 2008, I believe. Haven't seen that. I haven't really heard much about it. Probably not really going to rush out to buy it or watch it at this moment, unless somebody comments down below and says it's outstanding. But yeah, April Fool's Day from 1986. Check it out, definitely. Not just for the twist, but for a fun watch with a fun group of characters and good acting and an expectation subverter, if that's an actual phrase. 8.5 out of 10 is my rating. Go ahead and comment down below if you've seen April Fool's Day, what you think of it. Did the twist work for you? Do you not like it? Why not? Please like this video and hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos for this series. And please subscribe to my channel down below so you don't miss any of my great horror content. The rest of 2022 is completely planned out for me. I have a lot of fun stuff happening. So thank you for watching this video. Have a great day. Stay scared. Bye.